She mocked his wound with a cut until he laughed and said, "Now it's my turn." Asterisk, the burning wreckage of the starship Avalon carved a smoking scar across the purple-tinted landscape of Nethros. Lieutenant Marcus Reed dragged himself from the twisted metal, his left shoulder screaming in protest as alien atmosphere filled his damaged helmet. The crash had destroyed most of his equipment, leaving only his basic life support and the strange energy weapon that had somehow survived the impact. Marcus stumbled across the crystalline sand, each step sending jolts of pain through his injured body. The twin suns of this world cast eerie shadows through the floating rock formations that defied gravity around him. In the distance, spires of what looked like a city gleamed like dark jewels against the horizon. "Reed," he muttered to himself, "you've really done it this time." The sound of approaching footsteps made him spin around, weapon raised. From behind the nearest floating boulder emerged figures that made his breath catch. They moved with fluid grace, their skin shimmering with an opalescent quality that shifted between deep purple and silver. Tall and elegant, they wore armor that seemed to be grown rather than forged. At their head walked a female whose presence commanded attention. She stood nearly 7 feet tall, her long white hair flowing like liquid starlight. Intricate tattoos spiraled across her exposed arms, pulsing with soft light. But it was her eyes that held Marcus captive, deep, violet orbs that seemed to hold the wisdom of ages and the fire of a warrior. "Surrender, Skycrawler," she commanded, her voice carrying an accent that made his translator struggle. "Your vessel has brought corruption to our sacred lands." Marcus kept his weapon steady, despite the tremor in his hands. "I'm Lieutenant Marcus Reed of the Terran Exploration Fleet. My ship malfunctioned. I mean no harm to your people." The alien woman's lips curved in what might have been amusement. She drew a blade that hummed with energy, its edge crackling with purple electricity. "Harm is what your kind always brings. I am Zara Nightwhisper, daughter of the Crimson Throne. You will come with us." "If I refuse?" Marcus asked, though he knew the answer. Zara's single quotes, a smile widened, revealing teeth that gleamed like pearls. "Then you die here, in the sand, forgotten by the stars." Marcus weighed his options. His weapon was nearly drained, his body battered, and he was outnumbered 20-1. But something in Zara's eyes intrigued him, a curiosity that warred with her. Obvious hostility. "All right," he said, slowly lowering his weapon. "But I want to make something clear." He met her gaze directly, ignoring the weapons pointed at him. "I'm not your typical prisoner." Zara stepped closer, close enough that he could see the intricate patterns in her skin, could smell the exotic fragrance that clung to her like morning mist. "We shall see about that, human." When her warriors moved to bind him, Marcus didn't resist. But as the energy shackles clicked around his wrists, he noticed something strange. The restraints which should have burned his skin and weakened his muscles merely tingled against his flesh like a mild static charge. Zara noticed too. Her violet eyes widened slightly as she watched him flex his fingers without apparent discomfort. "Interesting," she murmured, her voice carrying a note that hadn't been there before. "It's very interesting indeed." The fortress city of Crimson Falls rose from the mountainside like a living organism, its towers twisted into spirals that reached toward the purple sky. Marcus marveled at the architecture as Zara's escort led him through streets filled with aliens who stopped to stare at the strange skycrawler. Children peered from behind their parents, their large eyes filled with curiosity and fear. "Your people seem friendly," Marcus commented dryly, as another group of citizens hurried away from their path. Zara walked beside him, her hand resting casually on her weapon's hilt. "They fear what they do not understand." "Your kind has been troublesome in the past?" "My kind? You mean humans?" Marcus studied her profile as they climbed the winding path toward the palace. "What exactly did we do to earn such a warm welcome?" "The last skycrawler ship that came here brought the withering." "Plague," Zara replied, her voice growing cold. "Half our population died screaming as their life force was drained away. That was 50 seasons ago." Marcus felt a chill that had nothing to do with the alien wind. "I'm sorry. I didn't know." Something in his tone made Zara glance at him. For a moment, her expression softened, revealing a vulnerability beneath her warrior's mask. Sorrow will not bring back the dead human. They reached the palace throne room, where a massive alien sat upon a chair carved from a single black crystal. King Valorian Nightwhisper possessed the same opalescent skin as his daughter, but his was marked with scars that told of countless battles. His eyes darker than Zara's, fixed on Marcus with obvious hostility. "So this is the latest invader," the king rumbled, his voice like distant thunder. "He looks weak for one of his kind." Marcus straightened despite his injuries. "I prefer a visitor to invader, your majesty. Appearances can be deceiving." The king's laugh was harsh. Brave words from one who stands in chains. "Tell me, Skycrawler, why should I not execute you where you stand?" Before Marcus could answer, Zara stepped forward. "Father, there's something unusual about this one. The binding chains do not affect him as they should. Perhaps we should test him before passing judgment." King Valorian leaned forward, interest flickering in his dark eyes. "Test him how, daughter?" "The trials of proving," Zara said, her gaze. "Never leaving Marcus. If he survives them, perhaps he is worth more alive than dead." Marcus looked between father and daughter, sensing undercurrents he didn't understand. What exactly did these trials involve? Zara's smile was predatory. "Skycrawler. A great deal of pain. The question is whether you can endure it, and if I refuse, then you die now instead of later," the king said with finality. "Choose quickly. My patience wears thin." Marcus looked at Zara, seeing something in her violet eyes that made his decision for him. Whatever game she was playing, she was offering him a chance, perhaps the only one he would get. "I accept your trials," he said firmly. The king nodded. "Very well, daughter, you will oversee his testing. If he fails, the blame falls on your shoulders." As they left the throne room, Zara walked close beside Marcus. "You may have just signed your death warrant, human," she murmured. "Maybe," Marcus replied, acutely aware of her proximity, of the way her armor caught the light. "But something tells me you won't let that happen." Zara's step faltered slightly. "What makes you so certain?" Marcus turned to meet her gaze, seeing his own reflection in those violet depths. "Call it intuition. Or maybe it's the way you keep looking at me like I'm a puzzle you want to solve." For a moment, neither spoke. Then Zara's expression hardened again. "Do not mistake curiosity for mercy, Skycrawler. I have killed many of your kind. But you've never met one like me," Marcus said quietly. The sacred caves beneath Mount Koro stretched into darkness that seemed to swallow light itself. Marcus followed Zara through passages carved with symbols that hurt to look at directly, their alien geometry seeming to shift when viewed peripherally. The healing crystal they sought lay somewhere in these depths, guarded by creatures that had never known sunlight. "Stay close," Zara whispered, her blade glowing with soft purple light. "The Shadow Feeders hunt by detecting separated life forces." Marcus nodded, grateful for the weapon she had given him, a backup blade that hummed with alien energy. The irony wasn't lost on him that the woman who had captured him was now arming him for survival. Their relationship had grown complex over the past day of trials, each test revealing new layers of attraction and understanding. A low growl echoed from the darkness ahead. Zara raised her hand, signaling for silence. Through the gloom, Marcus could make out shapes moving with predatory grace, creatures that seemed to be made of living shadow, their eyes like burning coals. 3 of them, Zara breathed against his ear, her closeness making his pulse quicken. "When I give the signal, strike left while I take the right." The attack came with brutal suddenness. Shadow Feeders moved like liquid darkness, their claws leaving trails of cold fire. Marcus dove, left his blade connecting with something that felt like frozen silk. The creature shrieked, a sound that seemed to come from inside his skull. Zara fought with deadly grace, her movements a lethal dance as she carved through shadow flesh. But there were too many more shapes emerged from hidden crevices, surrounding them with hungry malevolence. "The crystal chamber," Zara gasped, pointing to a narrow opening. "We can defend it better there." They ran, pursued by creatures that flowed like living nightmares. The chamber beyond was small, dominated by a pillar of light that pulsed with healing energy. The entrance was narrow enough that the Shadow Feeders could only approach one at a time for what felt like hours. They fought side by side, their weapons weaving patterns of destruction. Gradually, the attacks lessened, then stopped. The remaining creatures melted back into the darkness, apparently deciding easier prey awaited elsewhere. Marcus slumped against the crystal pillar, exhaustion weighing on him like a physical force. Zara sat beside him, close enough that he could feel the heat radiating from her skin. Her armor was damaged, revealing glimpses of the opalescent flesh beneath. "You fought well for a skycrawler," she said, her voice softer than he had ever heard it. "You're not bad yourself for an alien princess." Marcus replied with a tired smile. Zara's laugh was like music in the crystalline chamber. "Is that what you think I am? A princess, aren't you?" Marcus studied her profile in the healing light. Even exhausted and battle-worn, she was the most beautiful being he had ever seen. "I am a warrior first," Zara said, her fingers absently tracing the tattoos on her arm. "These marks tell the story of every battle I have survived, every enemy I have defeated. I have earned my place through blood and pain, not birth." Marcus reached out, gently touching one of the spiraling patterns. Her skin was warm, softer than he had expected. "They're beautiful." Zara's breath caught at his touch. "You should not," she began, but didn't pull away. "Should not what?" Marcus moved closer, drawn by something deeper than attraction. "Should not touch you? Should not feel this way about someone from another world?" "We are enemies," Zara whispered, but her violet eyes betrayed her words. "Are we?" Marcus cupped her face in his hands, marveling at how perfectly she fit against his palms. "Because right now, in this moment, you don't feel like my enemy." Zara leaned into his touch, her eyes fluttering closed. "This is madness. My people would never accept." "Then don't tell them," Marcus murmured, leaning closer until their foreheads touched. "This can be our secret." When their lips met, it was like touching a live wire. Energy coursed between them, the healing crystal pulsing brighter in response to their connection. Zara's arms wound around his neck, pulling him closer as the kiss deepened. They broke apart breathlessly, staring into each other's eyes with wonder. In growing desire, Zara whispered his name like a prayer. "I know," he replied, understanding the weight of what was happening between them. "I feel it too." The temple of the Ancient Ones stood at the heart of the sacred city, its obsidian walls covered in carvings that seemed to move in the flickering torchlight. Marcus and Zara approached the entrance together, the healing crystal secured in a protective case on Zara's back. 3 days of trials had brought them closer than either had thought possible. Their growing love a secret flame in the darkness of war. "Beyond these doors lies the core chamber," Zara explained, her voice tight with tension. "If your theory is correct, the plague's source lies within." Marcus nodded grimly. His knowledge of human technology had revealed disturbing parallels between the withering plague and the energy signatures from crashed Terran vessels. If he was right, his own people bore responsibility for the suffering that had devastated Zara's world. They passed through corridors lined with statues of beings that predated Zara's civilization, their alien features both beautiful and terrifying. At the temple's heart, they found a chamber dominated by a swirling vortex of energy that pulsed with familiar patterns. By the ancient spirits, Zara breathed, staring at the maelstrom. It's beautiful and horrible at once. Marcus approached. The energy core, his scanner confirming his worst fears. "Zara, this is Terran technology. Somehow pieces of crashed human ships have been incorporated into your temple's power source. The incompatible energy matrices are creating the plague." Zara's face went pale. "You mean your people really are responsible for our suffering?" "Not intentionally," Marcus said quickly, seeing the pain in her violet eyes. "But yes, we bear the blame. I'm so sorry, Zara." "If I had known... known what?" A new voice cut through the chamber like a blade. They turned to see Prince Theron Nightwhisper, Zara's older brother, emerge from the shadows with a squad of elite guards. His face was twisted with rage, his hand on his weapon. "Known that you would seduce my sister while plotting our destruction." Theron Zara stepped between the brothers, her own blade drawn. "You don't understand? Marcus is trying to help us. Help us." Theron's laugh was bitter. "He has corrupted you, sister. Made you forget your duty to our people. Look at yourself. You defend the very creature responsible for our mother's death." Marcus felt the blood drain from his face. Your mother died in the plague? 50 seasons ago, Theron snarled, when the first Skycrawler ship infected our world. She withered away before our eyes, her life force consumed by the poison your kind brought. I didn't know, Marcus said, understanding now the depth of pain behind Zara's initial hostility. Zara, why didn't you tell me? Because it doesn't matter, Zara replied, though tears glittered in her eyes. You are not responsible for crimes committed before your birth, isn't he? Theron drew his weapon, its edge crackling with lethal energy. His very presence here proves the Skycrawlers have returned to finish what they started. I will not. Let him complete his mission. Theron lunged forward, his blade aimed at Marcus's heart. But Zara moved faster, intercepting her brother's strike with her own weapon. The clash of energy blades filled the chamber with blinding light. Stand aside, sister, Theron commanded, pressing his attack. I will not let him destroy what remains of our people. He's trying to save us, Zara replied, parrying desperately. The plague can be stopped, but only with his knowledge. Marcus reached for his weapon, but Theron's guards surrounded him, their blades at his throat. He could only watch as the siblings fought, their battle a deadly ballet of light and shadow. You choose him over your own blood, Theron demanded, his blade inches from Zara's face. I choose hope over vengeance, Zara replied firmly. I choose love over hate. Theron's eyes widened at her admission. You, ... you love this creature? With all my heart, Zara said, her gaze finding Marcus across the chamber. And he loves me. Then you have both betrayed everything we stand for, Theron said coldly, raising his blade for a killing blow. But before he could strike, the energy core pulsed violently, sending waves of corrupted power through the chamber. The mixing human and alien technologies were reaching critical instability, threatening to consume the entire city. The core is overloading, Marcus shouted over the growing maelstrom. If we don't stabilize it now, the plague will spread across your entire world. Theron hesitated, torn between his desire for revenge and his duty to protect his people. Please, Zara begged, still defending against her brother's blade. Let him try to save us. The energy core's violent pulsations shook the ancient temple to its foundations. Cracks appeared in the obsidian walls as waves of corrupted power threatened to tear the structure apart. Marcus could see the terror in the guards' eyes as they realized their weapons were useless against the growing catastrophe. The human technology is creating a feedback loop, Marcus shouted over the rising storm of energy. I need to access the core directly to shut down the incompatible systems. Prince Theron lowered his blade, conflict warring across his features. If this is some trick, ... If this is a trick, we all die together, Marcus replied grimly. Choice, Theron. Trust me, or watch your world burn. Zara stepped between them, her violet eyes blazing with determination. I trust him with my life, with all our lives. Theron looked at his sister, seeing something in her expression that made his anger falter. Slowly, reluctantly, he stepped aside. Do what you must, Skycrawler, but if you fail, ... I know, Marcus said, already moving toward the chaotic energy storm. The core's radiation would have killed any normal human instantly, but whatever. Strange immunity he possessed seemed to extend to alien energy as well. As he approached the swirling vortex, Marcus felt Zara's hand slip into his. You don't have to do this alone, she said, her skin glowing with the same opalescent light. As the energy around them, Zara, no, he protested. The radiation will kill you. Not if we're connected, she replied, her tattoos beginning to pulse, in harmony with the core's rhythm. My people were created to channel this energy. Together, we might survive, what neither could accomplish alone. Hand in hand, they stepped into the maelstrom. The energy struck them like a physical blow, but instead of destroying them, it seemed to recognize their connection. Marcus's human technology interfaced with Zara's biological adaptations, creating a bridge between two incompatible systems. Through their joined consciousness, Marcus could see the full scope of the plague's spread, tendrils of corrupted energy, reaching across the planet like a vast web of poison. But he could also see the solution, by harmonizing the conflicting energy signatures. They could transform the destructive force into something healing. Now, Zara whispered, her voice echoing strangely in the energy field. Do it now. Marcus reached out with his scanner, modified by their shared connection to interface with the alien core. Slowly, carefully, he began rerouting the energy patterns. Using Zara's biological knowledge to guide the process, where human technology had created chaos, their combined efforts brought order. The violent pulsations began to slow, the chaotic storm settling into a steady, harmonic rhythm. The cracks in the temple walls sealed themselves as healing energy flowed outward from the stabilized core. They collapsed together outside the energy field, exhausted but alive. Theron and his guards stared in amazement as readings throughout. The chamber showed the plague's rapid retreat across the planet. It's working, Theron breathed, his scanner showing life force levels rising in cities across their world. The withering is ... healing. Marcus struggled to his feet, helping. Zara stand beside him. Her skin was luminous with residual energy, more beautiful than ever. The core will need monitoring, he said. But the immediate danger is past. King Valorian arrived with reinforcements, having felt the energy disturbance from the palace. His dark eyes took in the scene, the stabilized core, his son's awed expression, most notably, his daughter standing hand in hand with the human who had been their prisoner just days before. Explain, the king commanded, his voice carrying the weight of absolute authority. Theron stepped forward, his earlier hostility replaced by grudging respect. The Skycrawler has saved us, father. The plague is ended. Valorian studied. Marcus with new eyes. What price do you ask for this service, human? Marcus looked at Zara, seeing his own feelings reflected in her violet gaze. Only one thing, your majesty, your daughter's hand in marriage. Gasps echoed through the chamber. Interspecies bonding was not merely unprecedented, it was considered impossible. But Zara stepped forward, her chin raised defiantly. I choose him, father, she declared. My heart belongs to Marcus Reed, whether you approve or not. The king was silent for a long moment, studying the couple who had just saved his world. Finally, incredibly, he smiled. Then who am I to argue with fate? The ancient prophecies speak of a union between star and stone that would heal our world. Perhaps this is what they meant. As the temple filled with celebration, Marcus pulled Zara into his arms, kissing her deeply as their two worlds watched. The stars had brought them together across impossible distances, and love had conquered the hatred that divided their peoples. So what happens now? Zara murmured against his lips. Marcus smiled, looking out at the alien sky that was no longer strange to him. Now we build a future together, your people and mine, learning from each other. And us? Zara asked, her eyes sparkling with mischief and desire. Us, Marcus replied, spinning her around as joy filled his heart. We live happily ever after. Above them, the twin sons of Nethros shone down on a world reborn, where love had proven stronger than prejudice, and hope had triumphed over despair. The age of cooperation between human and alien had begun, sealed by the bond between a warrior princess and a pilot who had crashed into her world and stolen her heart.